He throws a laser, the crowd rises, and for a brief, gleaming hour, it looks like the Browns found something real. Then the stadium lights catch a cart rolling off the field. Ethan Pocic, center and anchor, grimacing as he's helped away, and the glow turns cold. Shedeur Sanders stood in the middle of both moments, the one that felt like promise and the one that snapped it back into brutal reality. He played like a man who wanted to be remembered. In his third start, he carved the Titans apart with a kind of reckless precision. 23 completions, 364 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, a rushing score, and a quarterback who refused to stop fighting even when everything else around him unraveled. But football is communal and cruel. A season can hinge on a single limp step off the turf. When Posic's Achilles tore in the fourth quarter, the Browns lost more than a starter. They lost comfort, protection, and perhaps a piece of Shedeur's emerging rhythm. You could hear it in his voice afterward, not the pain of the play itself so much as the worry for a teammate. "Ethan, it definitely hurt that he was out," Sanders said, and you heard the rest of the sentence as if it were unfinished. He wanted Pocic back. He wanted stability. He wanted the small things that let a young quarterback breathe. "I truthfully hope I can play with him next year, and I hope he's around next year. But I got to make sure I'm around too next year." It's an athlete's prayer and a leader's promise rolled into one. Protection for the man who shields you, and a quiet vow to survive. That combination, care for others and personal resolve, is the core of what Sanders has started to feel like. The stat line was the easy part to record. The harder bit was the way he governed the game's last 10 minutes, the way he drove the offense down twice late to make a game out of a rout, the way he put his body on the line to climb back into contention. He isn't polished. He holds the ball too long at times. He trusts tight windows. The interception in the third quarter was a teacher with a harsh pen. Still, he showed a composure that reads like the first pages of a grown-up book. And now the team must answer the practical question the injury forces. How do you protect your rookie? This is where the season's arc flips from promising experiment to triage. Posic's torn Achilles isn't a 3-week absence. It's a season ender, and depending on how the roster shakes out in the spring, maybe a crossroads for a free agent veteran whose contract runs out. That loss narrows margin for error on every snap Sanders takes. The pocket will close faster. Blitzes will be more deadly. Comfort throws become choices with consequences. You can trace the Browns' vulnerabilities in the play-by-play. Pockets collapse. Screens fail. Special teams miscue. Those are the small leaks that become floods in December. Sanders' late drives were heroic because he had to invent space that the line could not consistently buy him. That he did so speaks to his moxie. That he needed to speaks to a problem that won't fix itself unless the front office treats it like the emergency it is. There's a different kind of loss here too, the emotional toll. English doesn't have a great word for the way teams feel when a steadying veteran goes down. It isn't just scheme or snaps. It's a subconscious exhale that teammates take when they know someone who calls out protections and settles the huddle isn't there to do it. Young QBs sense it. They feel bodies hesitate a step when Pocic, the guy who makes the line sing, is not calling cadence from the center position. What makes this nuance brutal is that confidence is contagious. Doubt is viral. Sanders felt it immediately, and his public plea to have Pocic back next year isn't just sentiment, it's strategic reasoning wrapped in care. So, what happens now? The short answer is the Browns will push forward, and the next few weeks are going to be a testing lab. Shedeur will keep starting. He's earned the snaps, and the team has committed to letting him play. Coaches will draw up protections, have quick-release concepts, and rollout schemes engineered to let his accuracy do the heavy lifting while the line regains composure. The staff will probably throw in more high-percentage completions, quicker timing throws, and packages that minimize blindside risk. That's how you buy a rookie time. Structure, not spectacle. On the roster side, this is a moment of decision. Pocic's contract situation, a 1-year deal that expires, makes his return an open question. Cleveland can do what some teams do. Pay to keep continuity, prioritize the unit that protects the passer. Or they can gamble on cheaper depth and rework the scheme around what they can afford. Either route has a cost. Either route sends a message about whether the Browns believe Shedeur is the future they want to build around. And for Shedeur himself, this is a turning point. He said he has to make sure he's around next year. That's not a throwaway line. It's a boxer's vow before the bell. It's a kid who knows the league will be unforgiving and wants to write a different ending. The ink you choose now, how he responds to his mistakes, how he learns from pressure throws, how he manages the pocket when the walls close, will sketch either a comeback story or a cautionary footnote. Here's the human calculus that matters most. The Browns aren't just evaluating a single player. They're measuring an identity. Do they become a team that doubles down on youth, defense-first grit, and draft capital? Or do they chase veteran fixes that paper over architectural problems? All NFL teams lie somewhere along this spectrum, but the Browns have the assets to tilt the decision in a real direction. 2 first-round picks, a ferocious defensive core, and a rookie quarterback with flashes that make your palms sweat. Those are the tools of a franchise that can pivot from mediocre to meaningful if it chooses wisely. But choices need time and clarity. The rest of the season, starting with the Bears, is a compressed audition. Sanders will be judged not just on highlight throws, but on how he absorbs critique. Posic's surgery and recovery timeline will be a barometer for the front office's spending and patience. Free agency looms as both threat and solution. And above it all, the locker room's tone will matter. Do they circle the wagons around a rookie, or do they fracture into factions? If Sanders' post-game plea for his teammate is any indication, the answer might already be obvious in that locker room. They're together. There's a quieter lesson here that too often gets lost in the stat storm. Leadership is not always loud. Shedeur's message after the loss wasn't a viral soundbite designed to scorch headlines. It was a steady, public expression of care and commitment. That matters. Teams that survive slippage aren't always the ones with the flashiest QBs. They're the ones that keep faith in each other and build incremental improvements into reliable performance. That's what the Browns need now. Less spectacle, more discipline. Less improvisation, more repetitive reps that turn flinch into reflex. At the end of the day, this season just got harder. It also got more urgent. Pocic's season-ending injury is a practical disruption and a symbolic one, a reminder how quickly things can tilt in a league defined by inches and timing. Shedeur Sanders' statement after the game that he wants Pocic back and wants to be back himself is more than hope. It's a declaration of responsibility. If you're a fan, the safe takeaway is to hold both feelings at once. The sorrow for a veteran who may not return to the team that he helped steady, and a cautious optimism for the rookie who responded to setback with competence and care. That emotional tension is the raw material of football stories. This one is still being written. So watch the next game and the next one after that. See how the staff reshapes protection, how the front office answers the roster riddle, and how Shedeur carries himself when defenders know they can pressure him. Those are the answers that turn an injury into a turning point. The kind that either breaks a season or hardens it into something new. For now, the message is simple and human. Shedeur wants his teammate back, and he wants to be back too. That hope is fragile. But in Cleveland, fragile is the only thing left to build with. Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns dropped their second straight game in Week 14, falling to 3-10 after a narrow 31-29 loss to Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. Cleveland will now try to close out the season on a positive note, starting with a Week 15 matchup against the Chicago Bears. Despite the loss, Sanders turned in the best performance of his young NFL career. In just his third start, the former Colorado star completed 23 of 42 passes for 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, while adding 29 rushing yards and another score. The Browns have decided he will remain the starter for the rest of the season. Cleveland's progress took a major hit late in the game when starting center Ethan Pocic suffered a torn Achilles tendon in the fourth quarter. He was carted off the field and ruled out for the season. With his 3-year, $18 million contract expiring after the season, Pocic's future in Cleveland is uncertain. Sanders made it clear he hopes the Browns bring Pocic back. Ethan, it definitely hurt that he was out because the responsibility he took in helping everybody whenever I was able to come in and have that different level of comfort, Sanders said. I truthfully hope I can play with him next year, and I hope he's around next year. You know, I really do. But I got to make sure I'm around too next year. Sanders and the Browns return to action against the Bears on Sunday at 1 p.m. ET.